Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Derek Van Hook. Today we're off of the Marquesas Keys. It's May 2nd, and you know what that means. It is grouper season. We're on one of our favorite spots we call Magic Kingdom. It's a good roll off from 60 to 80 feet of water. We mixed up some chum back at the hotel. We're gonna start dropping some chum balls down, and hopefully the fish are here. Chummed it up real good. Let's see if they're home. This is actually the first time diving this spot after finding it with Lenny and Jack last year. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it at the end. It was a lot of fun, and this spot is where we really came across the majority of the nice fish on that trip. Every drop we were seeing big black grouper, muttons, big mangroves, and cupera snapper. Diving these roll-offs with chum is usually a surefire way to find a couple of really nice sized black grouper, especially down here in Key West. But on this dive, we haven't seen any yet. So I'm doing these grunting sequences to try to bring in those predators. Sometimes it just piques their curiosity and they'll come up out of their holes to see what's making all the noise. But in this case, really don't see anything worth shooting. And it's really surprising after how good this spot was last year. After about another dozen dives just like this, we decided to call it and head in a bit shallower to do a bit of cave diving, which happens to be one of my favorite ways to target black grouper. All right, well, we struck out in that deep water stuff. We're gonna go head into some shallow water. So we got some really good spots just inside of here, and we're gonna see if we can get on some grouper. The only special piece of equipment you need to go cave diving for grouper is a flashlight, and you're about to see why. While you can cave dive in any depth of water, Key West has some really great caves in the 30 to 40 foot range. I'm pretty familiar with this spot. I already have the flashlight ready to go as I roll this edge, and I'm just looking for grouper that are in these caves. And I know there's another hole here on the other side of this pinnacle coral. I'm getting ready to get over there, and a nice black grouper shoots out. Must have seen or heard me coming before I could see him. And I know the general direction that he's going. I know there's some rocks over there. So I decided to come up, regroup, and try to get back on the fish. So Justin and I swim over to this rock that we thought we saw the black grouper come in. And from Justin's angle, you can clearly see this black. But from where I was, you couldn't see him until he already bolted away. And we can just barely see him off in the distance, and the name of the game here is to just keep an eye on him, see where he goes, and we end up following this fish all the way to this other really nice ledge. And as you can see here, I'm just checking this large ledge. I got the gun ready to shoot, and I'm just covering ground trying to figure out what hole this black grouper went into. After another breathe up, I'm checking another section of this ledge, and again I have this flashlight ready to go, gun ready to fire, and as I roll this edge, I'm kind of looking a little bit too much with the flashlight without moving my gun, and there is a really nice black grouper. And the sad thing is I had the shot on this fish, I just didn't pull the trigger in time, and then when I saw the fish move, I adjusted my shot, pulled the trigger, and just clean missed. This fish takes off into the sand, and I just point to Justin so that he can chase it while I recover and reload my gun.
Did you hit him?
No, I didn't hit him.
And I have to say that probably one of the worst feelings in the world is seeing where your really big fish went off to and not being able to chase it because you have to reload your gun. But around the time that I reloaded the gun, Justin had identified the cave that the black grouper likely went into. And this is the exact same cave that Jack shot a really nice black grouper in last year that got away. So, just like all of my other dives, trying to be very careful, have the flashlight ready to go. And fortunately, I have a really good idea of how this cave is laid out, and I know where these black grouper like to lay. So, I'm just checking my corners, and there he is, and I don't take any time to extend the gun and pull the trigger. I definitely wasn't going to miss my opportunity this time. I had taken a bit of a head-on shot, and when the fish went to swim up deeper into the cave, it kind of got lodged in a weird angle, and I couldn't quite reach the shaft. So I decided to come up and call for the gaff from the boat so that we could reach further back up into the cave and try to get this fish free.
Go ahead and throw it. It's fine. So I take a drop with the gaff, and ultimately the plan here is to try to get the gun out of the way and to get back up into that cave, get the gaff either around the line or the shaft, and try to dislodge whatever rock the fish is hung up on. I slide back in and I'm basically just following that shooting line back to the fish. And once I get to this rock, this is about as far as I can really get into this cave. And you can see I got about a 5-foot gaff, and I'm extending my arm about as far as I can up into this cave, and I can just barely get it around the end of the shaft. Now, once it's on there, it's trying to basically dislodge that shaft from whatever rock it's hung up on. And being a recovery dive after shooting a nice fish, I decided to call the dive a little early because I really didn't get the breathe up I should have before making the dive.
He's deep in there. There's a rock here. He's like this, and the shaft is through his head, and the back side of the shaft is over here. Well, I put the gaff under the thing to try to like lodge him this way, because if you can just move him this way and then out, he'll come straight out.
So after trying my best to give my dad as much information as possible about how the fish is oriented and what he's hung up on and where I have the gaff, he decides to take a drop and see if he can get the fish free. And it's always great when you're diving in teams because regardless of who pulls the trigger, it's always a team effort to get these fish out in a safe manner. In situations like this, it's definitely a lot easier to pull the trigger than it is to get the fish out of a cave this deep. And you can see my dad's way back up in this cave. It's a bit murked up now. The fish is kicking up some dirt and sand, which is making the visibility even worse. And really, you're just trying to get that fish loose when you can't even get your hands on it. And fortunately, my dad's able to get it loose, pull the fish to him. Now, this is where you need to be very careful. You got a lot of line, you're in a cave, you got the gaff there as well, and that's why Justin came down to give my dad a hand so that he can cut any line if necessary. And fortunately, we were able to get this fish out without any problems. This was a really nice sized black grouper, and I was super excited. But as always, we go ahead and try to brain that fish to try to dispatch it and any suffering. And then of course bleed the fish to ensure that the meat is the highest quality possible. And that's one of the things we're really proud of when we're spearfishing, is we see that meat from harvest to plate, and we really are the caretakers of the entire process, and it really lets you appreciate the process of eating fresh fish. So while I'm taking care of my fish, my dad and brother spot another really nice sized black grouper that was back over by that pinnacle coral where we originally spooked the black grouper. And my dad's making a dive. Again, he has that flashlight ready, and he's checking those same holes in the same way that I do. Just trying to find that black grouper, having the gun ready so that you can pull the trigger at a moment's notice so that the fish doesn't have a chance to get away. And here, there's a handful of little cracks and crevices for this fish to be in, and he's taking his time looking through each of the spots, but ultimately on this dive, he doesn't see the fish. My brother Justin was following and filming my dad on that last dive. He says he saw the fish.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
He's right there.
You saw him?
Yes.
Where?
He came out. He's right there.
My dad knows that he doesn't have much time to take a dive to try to get a shot in this fish before he likely moves deeper into the cave or leaves this spot altogether. After another short breathe up, my dad makes his drop, trying to get an opportunity at this big black grouper. And as he gets ready to roll this corner, he gets the gun ready, puts his hand up on the front of it so he can easily maneuver the larger gun. And when he sees that fish, he moves it quickly and pulls the trigger, not giving the fish much time to move. And this fish tries to shoot out, tries to get lodged into this other hole here, but fortunately my dad's able to grab both sides of this shaft, dislodge the shaft from the rocks, and bring it straight up all in one dive. And this was a really nice black grouper, especially for this depth of water. And I was super happy to see my dad bring this fish up. And if you remember, I was still bleeding my fish when I see my dad take a dive. So I take a dive with the fish in hand, try to get his gun free from the rocks. And while I still have my black grouper in hand, I'm watching my dad bring up this other nice grouper. And it was just a super cool experience, and we were super excited.
Oh yeah, baby!
Give it 5.
Woo! I can't. I don't want to lose him.
You came up and I thought you saw him. I came up and you're like,
He was tucked up. I saw that little red, but I didn't see him sitting behind him.
I came around the corner with the camera and I'm
Oh
thinking,
yeah! Woo!
Well, I said
out.
Well, I said we needed to focus on some bigger fish. We only have a limit of 2 when we're in federal waters, and that's exactly what we did. Got on this nice, probably 20-pound fish, probably 20, 25-pound fish. Nice couple of fish and in the boat. Great footage, got them way back up in a cave. Super cool. I actually dove this cave with Jack Spiro and Lenny from Aquatic Apes last year, and we saw some other fish like this, nice sized ones. We have a half day today. Tonight we're going to a concert actually down here in Key West, and so far had a great day. Even though we only have 3 fish in the boat, we got 1 nice red and 2 really nice blacks. But sometimes it's just, you only need a couple fish to make a great day.
With our limit of black grouper already in the boat, we spent a little bit of time looking around for snapper and hogfish, and we were fortunate enough to come across this really nice one. Even with only a handful of fish in the boat, we had had a great day, so we decided to call it early and head in to get ready for our concert. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.